Hi guys. We've been listening to some songs that have a lot of filter sweeps, reverb, delays, lots of different transition effects to take things from one part to the next. And one thing that'll be really helpful to you is if you build an audio effect rack with the filters, the reverb, the delays, etc. in it, and then you can use the knobs to affect your sound as you wish. I want to show you a little bit on the push, but mostly on the launch control, because that's new to us. I want to show you how to create an audio effect rack and then how to map it to the controls using the MIDI mapping. Okay, first of all, I've got a little drum beat going on. All right, and now I'm going to bring in an audio effect rack. Audio effect rack right here, audio effects, audio effect rack. We'll bring it right here. As you can see, it's empty. We're going to start filling it with things. We fill it with these audio effects. The first thing I'll do is I'll bring in a beat repeat. Bring in a beat repeat. All right. And now what I want to do, I hit this little switch here and it shows me the 8 macro dials. And these on your push are these 8 macro dials here. I want to map different controls to this first macro. I'm going to hit map. The first thing I want to map is the on and off switch. When I'm not using these things, I want them turned off so the computer isn't busy doing its calculations. It makes the disk run faster. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit map. All the things that I can map turn green. Now I'm going to hit the on-off button and map it to macro 1. Okay. I'm also going to map the interval to macro 1 and the grid to macro 1. All right, you can see these things up here. I want to change this. Device on, I want it to be on 1 and I want it to be at 0. What's that going to do? It's going to mean that as soon as we turn it on, it turns on, but when we go all the way back down to nothing, it turns off. Okay? These other switches, I also wanted to change them a little bit. This interval, let's see, I had played around with it. I wanted it to be 1/8 note and I wanted it to be 1 bar, and the grid I had wanted it to be 1/48 and quarter notes. All right, and you can find out how far you want to do them as well. And then we'll turn the map off. Okay, and now when we click here and make the blue hand on our audio effect rack, this dial turns these things. And you see it turns off. And now it turns on. It turns off. There's no orange. It means it's off. And now it turns on as soon as we turn this dial. And you can see that this dial does not turn all the way from the one side to the other. It only goes part of the way. And so that's what I did, is I made this dial and this dial. When I changed these settings, I made them only go part of the way instead of all the way from the ends of the rotations to the ends of the rotations. So you can adjust them to be just part of what you want. Now I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to click on macro 1, Command R, repeat. All right, so now it shows up on my push, it shows up repeat. Okay. I'll hit the map off. Let's see. The next thing I'm going to add in, let's see, I'll add a reverb in there. I got to put it right in here, not out here. Out here is not in the audio effect rack. In here is in the audio effect rack. Okay? So now I'm going to map this to, I'm going to map the on-off. I'm going to map the decay time, and I'll map the diffuse. Okay, play around with these, figure out what you want to map as well. I'm going to rename it, Command R, Reverb. Okay, hit enter. Now when I make, I'm going to click this, right now this has the blue hand, but now this has the blue hand, and now it appears on my push. Alright, and it turns on and off, and I can make that go. Alright, I might do a simple delay. Let's see. I'll bring a delay in. Plop that right there. I'm going to turn this link off. I'm going to map the on-off to macro 3, map the feedback to macro 3, and map these repeats to macro 3. I'm going to rename it, delay. Alright, and I'm going to change this simple delay on. I want that to be 1, off, 0. Oh, for the reverb, I also wanted that to be 1 and 0. For this delay, I didn't want it to, the feedback, I'm just going to go to like, I don't know, something like that, so it won't delay too much. Won't feedback too much. Alright. Now I'm running out of space to see. I wanted to add a couple more filters in there. I'm running out of space. What I can do is click on this beat repeat, control click, and fold. And that folds that up. Control click on the reverb, fold. Control click on the delay and fold. Okay, now I'm going to bring a filter in and another filter. Okay, I'm going to put that one right there. And I'll bring another one in and put it right here. Alright, one of these filters I want to sweep out the highs and leave the lows. This other filter, I'm going to use this filter. I want it to sweep out the lows and leave the highs. Okay, so I have options on which way I want to sweep. Okay, so this one I'll map on off, macro 4, frequency, macro 4, resonance, macro 4. Alright, on off, 1, 0. This resonance, I do not want it to be so sharp. It will get really piercing. So let's check this dial out. When I do this, yeah, it goes up and then it turns off. And as soon as I turn it on, it's just letting the basses go through and more and more and more of the sound, and turns off. So this other one, this will be filter, Command R, filter bass. And now this other one, I'll map the on-off. Hit that, hit map. Frequency, hit map. Resonance, hit map. Okay. And now this one, oh, I need to change it up here. 1, 0. Take the resonance down. And I want to reverse these sounds, these hertz, so that it's going the other direction. Okay, Command R, rename, filter, treble. Okay, so let's see how that works. Yeah, so it lets the treble through and then lets the bass through, and then we can slam it off. Okay, all these with this blue hand are showing up on the push really nicely, with our names that we rename them, etc. Sometimes I have a trouble getting it up and turning it all the way off. So I'm going to show us how to map it onto the launch control. The launch control has a factory setting. With the factory setting, these slider faders control the gain of the different tracks. Okay? I want these slider controllers to control these macros. Okay? So that when I slam it down, it turns off. So what I need to do is get it to the user mode. The user mode, I'm going to hold it down. I'm going to map it to user 7, just for instance. You could map it to any of these user numbers. User 7 is what I'm going to map it to. And then I'm going to hit this button up here, MIDI. Okay? Now all these things can get mapped. I'm going to map the first one to the first one. I'm going to map the second one to the second one, the third to the third. What I'm doing, I'm clicking it, and then I'm moving something. You tell it what you want to map, and then you move something, and it maps it right away to that. Okay? Once I've done that for all my things, I'm going to hit the MIDI button. And now, yeah, now the slider, boom, and we can just slide it right back down and turn it on or off as we wish. Okay? All right, the last thing I'm going to do is rename this audio effect rack by clicking on that and Command R and giving it a name that I would like. Create effects, and I'm going to hit this little save button, and it's going to save it in my project. And now I can use it whenever I would like to. I can pull it and drop it on another track. Now, on this other track, it's going to be really nicely all mapped to my push. If I want it to go back to the launch pad, I got to go up to MIDI and quickly get to a user mode and map it again, but that just takes 2 seconds. Okay, so once you do that, then it's good to go. Hit MIDI again, and there you are. So we'll go back to this track. Let's see, raise this up. Okay. All right. So bring your audio effects into an audio effect rack. Build your audio effect rack. Make sure you put that into the audio effect rack, not outside of it. Map all your parameters that you would like to map. Map them using the map button to a macro dial. After they're on the macro dials, you may need to MIDI map to a different controller if you need to. After that, give it a name and save it, and then it's available to any project, any track that you would like to bring it into. All right, have fun.